The pharmaceutical world is filled with tons of medicine options. From gel capsules to chewables, brand names to generics. It's estimated that between 85 and 90% of all prescriptions filled in the U.S. are done with generic drugs. How are these developed and where do they come from? And how do you know what to choose? Let's find out.
I think that the biggest misperception of the brand name of generic drug is the fact that people think the quality is not as good. And by FDA's regulations and following the regulations, and they're very strict, the guidelines, that the drug has to be proven safe and effective and equivalent, bioequivalent to that of the brand name drug. The generic drugs are manufactured following the same regulatory standards that the FDA has set. They're manufactured in facilities that the FDA inspects, following good manufacturing practices, what we call GMPs. Generic drugs are less expensive because, quite frankly, they're not as expensive to develop.
Bayshore Pharmaceuticals are manufacturing experts in this field. Bayshore's manufacturing partners' facilities can develop and create quality-driven, generic, FDA-approved prescription drug products at competitive pricing.
Bayshore Pharmaceuticals started in 2011 as what's known as a virtual company, in that we didn't have any bricks and mortar, any manufacturing. We almost are a project manager. We would select the products that we want to bring to the market. We now have evolved. The business itself has become increasingly competitive. There's more and more companies doing it. They're coming from everywhere around the world for the same piece of business. And we recognize the fact that we would have to have some control over our manufacturing and supply. We have a very good understanding of manufacturing. I think a lot of the companies that started in this business, in this virtual model, were sales and marketing companies. So they might have known the front end of the business, but we understand manufacturing.
Environmental regulations have made it incredibly difficult to manufacture APIs in the U.S. In fact, almost 40% of new generic drugs that are approved come from manufacturing plants in India.
Our customers want lower prices, the general public wants lower prices, the government wants lower prices, and that's hard to do with making product here in the United States. So what we do is we try to work with companies that are vertically integrated, meaning they not only manufacture the drug product, but they manufacture the tablet as well. In 2018, we formed a collaboration with a company in India called IPCA Laboratories. IPCA took a stake in Bayshore, and that, going forward, that will allow us to have some control over our own manufacturing, because they are one of the world's largest producers of active pharmaceutical ingredients and the finished dose. So we will have a better, more visibility into their scheduling, their development, their manufacturing, and throughout the whole supply chain. We were the first company to market and distribute FDA-approved products coming out of Bangladesh. We work with a company called Bayshore Pharmaceuticals, and we're very proud and honored that they chose to work with us, and I think we've done a pretty good job for them. But that's an example of our global reach. We're not just here in the United States. If you ask people 5 or 10 years ago, would you envision having FDA-approved pharmaceuticals out of Bangladesh, there probably would have been a lot of skepticism. But we, together with Bayshore, we now offer a low-cost generic alternative from a region of the world that a while ago would have been unheard of. It's economics at this point, and quite frankly, until we see an acceptance of maybe a premium for products having to be made in the U.S. because it costs more, labor costs cost more, obviously. Until people are willing to pay a little bit more, the trend of overseas manufacturers, it's going to continue. It's the only way to sustain.
To learn more about generic medications available from Bayshore Pharmaceuticals, visit their website, BayshoreUS.com, or see this segment again at InsideTheBlueprint.com.